Hello everybody, you're here with Cladu Beauty with your host Claudia Lara. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today's an episode about Wayne Goss, about brushes. Yay! So recently I did a Sonia G video on brushes, and so today I'm going to do a Wayne Goss favorites brushes. So if you're interested in that, please keep on watching and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and ring the bell so you know when I upload new videos. Okay, so let's begin. I've been a fan of Wayne Goss for a very long time. Now, some of his brushes, he runs out and they're not available anymore. So that's very unfortunate. But then he comes up with new sets, and I haven't got all of them, but some of them I have, and obviously the ones I'm going to be talking about today is going to be the new sets. There's a face set and there's an eye set. The eye set is 5 brushes, and the face set is 5 brushes, I think. Is it? I think so. What I am going to do is I'm going to compare it with few of the previous eye sets, just so you know if they're the same, if they're different, etc. I still use the previous sets. I love his brushes. And one of the main reasons I fell in love with it to begin with, I don't know if you know who Wayne Goss is, but he has smaller kind of eyes, and so hooded eyes. And so he really knows what is needed for hoodiness, like mine, and for small part of real estate in your eye space to put makeup on. And so he created these brushes smaller than usual. So I have Sonia G and I have Wayne Goss. Sonia G are a little bigger. And so there's always a special place for each, but that's what made me fall in love with Wayne Goss's brushes to begin with. On top of the real hair use, on top of the shape of them, and on top of the softness. They are the softest. If I compare Wayne Goss with Sonia G, and granted both are very soft, I think Wayne Goss's are a little softer even. Maybe because it's fewer hair because it's smaller. But so I go back and forth with them, but I really love Wayne Goss's as well. So let's begin. It's not going to be a long video because I already filmed 2 videos, but let me just go through them. So which one should I start? I'm going to start with face first. Now I have here 4 of the brushes. I don't have the 5th one, and I'll tell you why I didn't order that 5th one. So these are the 4 that I order, and I will share the difference with some of the other face that I own from him. So there is, let's see, these ones are F1, I guess face 1, F2, F3, F4, F5. The one I'm missing is F3. And the reason I'm missing it is that is the powder brush. And I really don't wear powder that much, and I really did not need another powder brush. Now, maybe it was a mistake in the sense that that brush not only is for powder, you can use it for bronzing, powder bronzing, because that's usually the biggest of the brushes that you will need. But I do own quite a little, some brushes for powder and for bronzing, and I don't do that much anyhow, so I didn't need that extra one. So the good news is, even though it's a set, he does sell them individually. That's great for me. And so that's why I don't have that one, so excuse that. But I did get two of this F5, and I will tell you why, but it has become my to-go, my favorite. And this is the one I use for powder because it's so thin and small that it's very easy to just kind of, we can do that now. Let's see. I'm going to be using a little bit of my Dior Forever. That's one of my favorite powders. So you take a little bit, and then, oh, you can see when I apply it, right? So it's so light, so fluffy. It doesn't buff like one of those buffer brushes, but it sort of just blurs everything. So I really like this. You see the difference? I hadn't powdered today, so I'll powder the other side. So again, I bought 2 of this precisely for this. Why 2? Because I keep one here in this desk that I'm filming all the time, and one in my bathroom, because to me this is a must-have. So F5, there you go. Why am I starting backwards? Because it's me. Because I always have to do things in out of order. So I do it intuitively. It's not that I think this through and I want to be a rebel and start on the last one, but it seems that I can't help it. Can't help myself. All right, so love, love, love this F5. And I'm not the only one. I've heard other YouTubers also say that they really like it. So I really recommend, if from the 5, of course I haven't tried the F3, but from the 5, I think this would be my favorite. Now, it does differentiate from the ones I previously owned. They're not available anymore, but I'm just going to mention them because it is different. So I have here the waynegoss. This is, does it have a name? Oh, I can't read it. Well, it's not available anymore, so that's okay. But let's see. It's there, but I can't read it. Oh, okay. Let's see. Take a pause. Take a breathe. Maybe that will improve my vision. No, it doesn't. So I'll link down below. I'll describe down below what this is called. I actually have 2. And so this one was great before because for the same reasons. It is pointy. And I also use it for blush. You can use it for contour. It's very, very thin. Well, it doesn't look thin there, but it is. It's sort of, but it does not compare to the F5 at all. You see this? Okay. This is round, is like this. It does have a little bit of incline here, straight here, and a little bit of incline. So it's not like pointy and incline all around. No, the incline is on one side more than the other, like I can see here. And I guess that's what really helps with that. This one has a little wider part here, which is useful for blush, and then pointy here. But they're not the same. They're not used for the same thing. So just for comparison purposes. And this one, yes, you can use for blush, especially if you have a blush that is very strong on you and you just want very lightly and sporadically and just tiny bit of the color. This is, again, I already said, this is a must-have because it has so many uses. The second face brush that I own, this is Universal from waynegoss. This came out a couple of years ago, and this is great too. It is more flat and then thin. I'm just mentioning it in case you have it. These two do not work the same, but I really pulled this quite a bit. This was a great blush. I wish he would bring it up. Not for me, because I already have it, but for those of you that don't. But love, love this brush. So with that in mind, let me pull out now F1. Of course, I'm not going in order. But if we're talking about this brush, we have to talk to F1. So F1 is the brush he came out for blush. And you can use it for bronzing and powder, but it has this incline as well. It is thicker. Well, here it seems like this one's have substantial. When I look at them, this and the other one, I think of them as flat because they look kind of a something that goes flatter. But when I'm comparing it to this, which I don't consider this flat, they kind of look like, oh, they have substantial. Look at this one, especially, right? Very interesting. But I would think this more the traditional brushes and the thickness and then the incline. This big incline is for you to be able to apply blush in this way where there's more here, or the other way in the bronzing material. Let's see, what can I compare it with? I'm just gonna bring out, this is Sonia G, and this is the Designer Pro. Very different brushes because it doesn't have the incline or anything, but I pull this one out because, or this one, because this will be the other two that I will use for blush. So again, this one has a very interesting shape and the softness, and I really, really appreciate it. Now, you're supposed to be able to use this for cream or powder. I don't think I will pull this one for cream. It's too soft for me. It's too soft. I need something stronger for creams. But for powder, I love, 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 love the softness, the way it spreads, the way it gives this off focus, the way it just, it's a, and that, it would be my second must-have, probably from the collection. I'll show you the other two, which are lovely too. So, I mean, I bought them because I like them, obviously. So let's go for F2 now. Yeah, like now I'm going to go in order. The F1 and then the F2. So the F2 is supposed to be the one for cream blushes. So here it is, the difference, F1, F2. This is more rounded. And I'm going to compare this. This is a little more, I mean, it's soft. It's the same sort of hairs, but this one is more dense. So this, you could do this with cream. However, I'm going to compare it to one of my favorites, cream blushes. If you've been with me, you know I talk about this all the time. This is Sonia G. This is Mini Base. This is a short one, the mini, but it has a long, a bigger one. But the head, the hairs is the same. So this is my favorite for cream because it really pushes, or, you know, when you want to spread the cream blush. This one is much bigger and it is softer in the top and it gets denser in this part. So probably if you cut it right here, they will be similar, but he did it longer. But it works. It works if you want to spread out in a more softer way. So again, maybe if I want to contour here with the spread of cream, it works for powder for sure. So I did order it for that. I do pull it out for spreading the cream blush, but it would not beat this one. However, if you want to complement, this is very precise. It's kind of a finger, sort of like that, so you can do it fast unless you, but this one, because it's bigger, it will spread probably a little faster. So I'm happy I have both, but I'm happy I got this one for sure. So that's the F2. The F3, like I said, I don't have. It's mostly for bronzing and powder. I don't have that one. And then last, I'm going to talk, because I already talked about the F5, I'm going to talk about the F4. This is F4. This is a very interesting brush. This is definitely for cream. I mean, I wouldn't use it for, you can, but it is short and dense. You could use it for powders, but it's probably too much. So this you can use, I guess, for foundation. Don't really like it for that. Mostly I will use it for contouring powder and contouring brush, mostly for cream. So I guess for thicker, more precise things, I would use this, and then I would use this to spread with cream or with powder on top. This is the difference. You see that? This is totally flat. So there you have it. So this has been my least favorite. But if you have a use for it and you really like those contour things and things like that, I guess it's useful. I mean, it reminds me, I have a Westman Atelier in my bathroom, but I have the Merit. The Westman Atelier is very similar to this. This is the Merit. You know, when you want thick for powder, I mean for creams, that's what this reminds me of. So if you use that kind of makeup, then it is worthwhile. For me, I don't, like I said, I use these other two for creams, and I don't really pull this one or the Westman Atelier. So I think it all depends on your preferences for makeup, but I am happy I got this part of the collection, again, when I do need it for those reasons. But that would be my least favorite. So it will be number 1 is the F5. Number 2 will be the F1, which is the last one I order. Number 3 will be the F2. And then number 4 will be this one, which is the F4. And then I was going to say, and number 5 will be the one I didn't order, obviously. But you never know with me. One of these days I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to order it because I need it for bronzing or whatever. So that doesn't mean, hey, I don't have it, I can't talk about it, okay? So let's move along with, if you have it, let me know. If you have the F3, let me know if it's worth getting it. Yeah, how about that? That's much better. So let's talk real quick about the 5 eye brushes. And now this is interesting because I didn't order them all at once. I ordered like 2 and then 3, and then I ended up getting them all. And I'm actually very happy I did. So yeah, I do recommend all 5. So let's begin with, let's do this right? Let's start with E1. So E1 is one of those that is kind of like an all over brush. So I really like this. If you saw my Sonia G video, I talk about, it was number 1 too. I'll have it here to compare. This one was the T6 Sonia G, and this is the E1 of Wayne Goss. So there you have it. I recommend either, and it is very nice to have an all over. This is kind of new. I do have other ones, especially one from Trish McAvoy, another one. I mean, I have few, and I used to really enjoy them because they really help you buff out something, not only for all one and done. And so they were very, very helpful. But nowadays, it seems that the all-in-one sort of shade is bigger, especially bringing it all down here. I don't know. It feels like now it's a must-have. It didn't used to, and now it is. That's my take on it. So either will work. I obviously have both. I think they perform a little different. This one is softer. Like I said, most of Wayne guys, I think like the hairs, each individual hair seems thinner, and maybe that's what makes it softer. I mean, they're both soft in a different way, but Wayne Goss feel thinner and maybe less hairs than Sonia G. So, it all depends on the formula and which one I pull out. But I can say, even in the thickness, I don't think you can tell here, but because they look the same. But when I do this to apply all of it, I probably prefer this. But then this one, to buff up here, seems and feels thinner. And for my hoodiness and for my small area here, I would prefer this one if I wanted to apply color or buff up a specific color that doesn't go everywhere, if that makes sense. So I have a use for both. I will pull it for different things. But if you just have to choose one, the Wayne Goss is perfectly, and it works, like I said, on this as well. So I probably, if you had to choose one, I probably would prefer Wayne Goss. That's not to say that I like it better. It just thinks you can use it for those 2 different things, while this is just thicker and all over. If that makes sense. I hope it did. All right. So that was E1. Then let's go for E2 and E3. I'm going to do them together because their shapes are very similar. So the E2 is the smallest and the E3 is the thickest. And so they're supposed to do a very similar thing, which is to be able to reach the crease. And then when you do this, these other parts do nicely tinting on top and bottom. So again, for hoodiness, for hoodie eyes, you don't make a mud, but you do emphasize the center. That's a must for hooded eyes. And so the thin one, obviously, you can use it also on the outer corner. And look how easy just to do from here down. This is the right size. This one is a little thicker, a little bit more like you want to bring it out. I probably will use this one more because of the smallness, and like I said at the beginning, small works better for my application, but this to buff things out in general, I think is very lovely. That's why I got it. Now I do want to compare this to with previous. So what I have here is a collection where it was all numbers, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This was a previous collection from him. And he had come out with this one, which is a little bit, I would say will be the most similar to the new one, because he had that pointy and then these parts that are kind of inclined, but you can tell immediately they're not the same, right? So this one became a lot more direction, and so between the two, I would prefer the new one. I guess it's all an improvement. So yeah, now Sonia G has several that are pointy and things like that. But I don't think as pointy as this. So let me just pull one out here that I'm looking. Let's see, there's this two. And I have plenty others, but these two are Sonia G. One is, this is from her new collection, TS3 and T3. All right, so these are TS3 and T3. And this one is the waynegoss. So maybe this one will be the closest, right? The T3. But again, not compared to the pointy of this. And pointy helps us hooded eyes much more in general. They both, you can do the same thing, but in that sense, and that's what I was saying at the beginning, that I fell in love with waynegoss brushes and I pull them out a lot more because of that sense, that I feel they are more helpful for the small amount of real estate that I have there. But great brushes, all of them, right? Okay, so we've done that. Now let's go to E1 and E5. Hadn't gotten E5? Yeah, E4 and E5. Okay, so E4 is your usual, worker. I think worker is what Sonia G calls it, but usual in the sense that you apply. Very easy to just apply, especially in the mobile lid. And then of course, it's very pointy. You see that? So if you want to line or put a very specific line. So this one is more directed. And so it's not buffing or just applying overall. This is very, very precise. So I think this is extremely useful, especially if you buy a set, right? The set has all for the steps of putting the eyeshadow. So I will buy eye brushes if it's your first time as a set. Then you can add, and my dog wants to go to the park. So yeah, later you can add more specific brushes if you want. But okay, so that's E4. And then you have the E5. And the E5 is cylinder. It's a little dirty, I'm sorry. I just use it to do this makeup look. You can see the blue. So this is perfect precisely for that. Eyelining, but buffing. And in this case, I put eyeshadow on top of my eyeline. And I thought this was perfect. You can also use it for your inner corner. Very precise, but buffing as well. So it's not just putting it, because I have others, like they are so small. Like I have this one. This is a Refer 23. This one is very, very precise. It's a lot smaller, but then I don't think you buff that well. This one is the perfect size to buff where you see it, that is not just a thin line, but so look at the difference. Yeah, you can tell the difference. All right, well, there you have it. So this is the E5. I think it's just perfect for buffing. Some people I've seen, they got two of this because of nowadays all the eyeliner and buffing just on top of the eyeliner. That is very, but there you have it. Beautiful, beautiful collection. I love it. Oh, did I miss? What's this? Oh, the E6. Oh my God, I almost fall. E6. So there's 6. I have a little mixture here. Okay, E6, very important to mention. This is mini. I actually thought this was going to be the most used when I ordered the set. I didn't have anything like this in my collection. And I really thought it was going to be super, super useful for eyelining, and especially eyelining in between the eyelashes. But I have to say, I don't pull it out at all. Why? Precisely for that. It's too small. I mean, if I wanted to make an eyeliner with this, it would take me forever. So not sure what this was for. Maybe there's this special looks that are coming out where you put a little bit of ink and you just really work it in the same area with different brushes, and having this thin, precise really helps with that. Maybe. I'm not that precise and I don't pull this as much. So if you want to know, my least favorite will be this one, which is the first one I bought thinking it was going to be my most used. I think that's it for today. I hope I didn't miss any, even though I have them here and I prepare and everything in the midst of the video. Okay, well, thank you very much, YEUX. I love your brushes. I always have, and I think they're still available. I hope, because they just came out, but not yesterday, and I was late. I ordered them right away when they came out, but I hadn't done this video, so now I did. Let me know your thoughts. Did you get this collection? Did you like it? Should I get the F3 that I haven't got? And which ones were your favorites? Okay, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done so, please ring the bell in the right hand corner. And I will see you next time. Bye.